Hello all and welcome to another video, and today something slightly different. Yes, it's cars again, but this time they are not of a random nature. The only thing random I think is the way that I came across them again. I had a photo sent to me by my good friend Dainster one night. It was of a box of cars that he had as a kid, so it led to me digging out a box of cars that I had from a box under my bed, and in that box was these Pro Set cars. Now, I used to collect these as a kid, as a very young boy. In fact, I was at junior school then, and I'm in my 30s now, so that'll just give you an idea of just how long ago that was. Now, I do believe these cards are dated 1990 or are from 1990, which means they've either turned or are turning 30 years old this year. So I'm very pleased that I was a very young boy back then, and I've managed to actually hold on to them all that time, because a lot of stuff from my childhood either got lost or thrown away. I still have a lot of toys, but I can imagine cards, a lot of cards I had did get lost, and I know some are missing. I had Turtles ones, they've gone. I had some other wrestling ones, they've gone. I mean, in that box were some other cars, but for me, these were the oldest, and these are the ones with the most nostalgia for me, because I loved football as a young lad. And obviously that is why I collected the cards. I remember used to taking them to school, even knock my doubles in an elastic band and showing them to my friends, and we'd all compare who we had and what we had. So anyway, let's go through these cards, and I've left them in the order that I pulled them out of. I was going to put them in numerical order, but that would mean looking through them too much, and that would spoil some potential sort of memories being triggered off and some natural reactions that I may not get if I already knew they were there. So I thought we'd have a flick through them now, because one person in the chat did say to me that they'd be interested in seeing the video, and if one person is interested in seeing the video, then that's good enough for me to make a video and indeed try to entertain that person. But anyway, let's go through them all. And the reason why I probably got this fella on top here is I absolutely idolized Gazza as a kid. Top player, and absolutely loved him back in the day. Wanted to be him, wanted to watch him. And I can remember watching the World Cup and seeing that infamous scene when he was crying, things like that, and dazzling the world with his feet back then. Absolutely love Gaza. What have we got on the back here? I'm not going to look at the back for all of them, but Gaza certainly deserves a look. Born May 27th, 1967 in Gateshead. The new superstar of English football, Gaza won the hearts of the nation for his performance during the World Cup. So yes, he did. So during the World Cup, so if these were 1990, and this is quoting the World Cup, then this would have been made and released after at least June. So these are turning 30 years old this year. They're not quite 30 years old. So there, yeah, a little bit about him, how good he is, and that he played for Newcastle for 3 seasons, was the idol of Tyneside, and signed for Spurs for 2 million in July 1988. Fills the grounds wherever he plays. That is absolutely a true statement. So yes, Paul Gascoigne, as I say, massive fan of him. So that was why he was top of the pile. And then we're going on to another Tottenham player. We've got Mitchell Thomas. Not a lot I know about Mitchell Thomas, to be honest with you. But there we go. Not a lot I know about him at all. But it's a player I've heard of, and a name that rings a bell. Paul Allen. Yeah, we all know Paul Allen. And there was Clive Allen as well, weren't there? So, yes, good focus on the ball there, Paul. So, Paul Allen, yes. Again, know the name, but obviously I was very young back then. He would have retired before the memories proper kicked in of staying there. So there we go, Paul Allen. Pat Van der Hau. Who remembers him? I remember the name, but again, yes, Pat Van der Hau. Jesus, 1960 he was born in. Before signing for Everton for 100,000 in 1984. In 1989, Pat signed for Spurs for 570,000. The money is so much different. Eric Torsvit. Eric the Viking Torsvit. What a keeper he was back in the day. Was at Spurs for many a years. Become a bit of a Spurs legend. Oh, talking of Spurs legend, I've just seen who's next. But there we go. Signed from IFK Gothenburg for 400,000 December 1988. Sorry, not 1998. Oh dear. Had a shake start to his Spurs career with one or two critical mistakes. Has since settled down to be a pillar of strength at the back of the Spurs defence. Not sure he's probably pleased about that being brought up in the card, but there we go. Sorry, Eric. Gary Mabbott, proper Spurs legend. Kind of missed the Spurs, isn't he? Yeah, back in the day, Gary Mabbott, stalwart of their defence for many a years. There we go. Born in 1961. There we go. Gary Mabbott. Who we got next? So we're off to another Nigel Spink. This must be Aston Villa. Remember the name Nigel Spink, indeed. Look at that. Kits back then, eh? Kits back then. Nigel Spink, Aston Villa. Card number 15, a low one. So, yes, the teams were obviously in alphabetical order, numbering-wise, basically. So, yeah, Aston Villa. going to be low numbers. Number 15, there we go. Born Chelmsford, so not far from me. Alan Shearer in a Southampton shirt. Talk about, wow, he looks so young in there. Full head of hair as well. Wow. Obviously, he went to Blackburn and then Newcastle, didn't he? He's, hometown club. But there we go. Yeah, look, 1970 Newcastle. That was what year he was born and place of birth. August 13th, 1970 Newcastle. There we go. Went to Southampton though. Obviously made a massive impression at Southampton. And then went to Blackburn for big money, thanks to Jack Walker. And the rest is history, as they say. What an absolute England legend is Alan Shearer. And talking of England legends, look, Nigel Martyn. Look at that tash. Look at that shirt. Fantastic. Nigel Martyn. This is when he was at Crystal Palace as well. Fantastic. David Burrows. Here's the name I remember. But I think he was at Coventry at some point as well, David Burrows. So, yeah, know that name. And Ray Houghton as well. Republic of Ireland International. Fantastic. 1962 he was born. There we go. Oh, Ian Rush. Absolute legend of the game as well. Ian Rush. Welsh international Ian Rush. And of course, another 1990 World Cup superstar in John Barnes. Did they quote the World Cup on the back there? No, not so much. They bring up the fact he was Watford. But there we go. Won Football of the Year award twice as well. Deservedly so. Peter Beardsley. Wow, what a team Liverpool had back then. Barnes, Rush, Beardsley. Wow. Just wow. Gary Gillespie. There's a name that eludes me. That's a Liverpool shirt, I think. Yes. No, not heard of you, Gary Gillespie. Can't remember you. I'm sorry, son. But there we go. Next up. Christ, I can't pronounce that. That looks like a very old Wimbledon shirt. The very old Samsung logo and Hummel on the shirt there. Yeah, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that because I'd worried I'd insult someone by doing it. But there we go. Brian Gunn. There's a name. I think, was he only ever at Norwich? That is Norwich, isn't it? Norwich City. Seemed to be at Norwich for years. Before Leighton... Oh no, it's talking about Jim Leighton. He signed for Norwich in October 1986 for 150,000. Has been their first choice goalkeeper ever since. So they signed him from someone. He wasn't at Norwich forever. Played more than 170 times for Norwich. I know he was there for a very, very long time. Dale Gordon, this name rings a bell. I used to collect Merlin stickers, and for some reason Dale Gordon was one of those stickers I used to get a lot of all the time. But don't know a lot about Dale Gordon, but apart from the sticker story, basically. Ian Butterworth. So some of these names are ringing a bell, but obviously I can't remember the careers and what they did, and Ian Butterworth's another name, and so is Ian Culverhouse as well. Wow, some of these names are coming. Mel Sterland, that's a Leeds shirt. Don't remember Mel Sterland at all. Don't remember Mel Sterland at all. But there we go. I do know Gordon Strachan. Who doesn't know Gordon Strachan? Some of the best managerial interviews ever. Some of the answers he gives. Fantastic. Yes, Scottish International as well. But yeah, Gordon Strachan. Who we got here? Phil Barber. Again, you're gonna get a lot of names I recognise, but obviously don't know the careers of to an extent. But I have heard of Phil Barber. That's a Crystal Palace shirt there. Roger Joseph. This name does elude me. Also from Wimbledon, as obviously was that Polish name earlier. There we go, Roger Joseph. Richard Shaw, later of Coventry, I do believe. Again, don't remember a lot about his career. I think he went on for quite some time, certainly into the mid 90s, perhaps sort of the earlier side of the late 90s as well. But yeah, Richard Shaw's a name I know. Colton Fairweather, no, never heard of you. Had this card and probably didn't know who you were back then either. But yeah, Cole Fairweather, that's him. David Smith, there's a beautiful British name if I've ever heard one. That looks like a Coventry shirt again. Name's not ringing any bells, or I should say the picture's not ringing any bells there. But David Smith, we got there. Cyril Regis. Yeah, Cyril Regis, that's a name I've heard of. Back in his Coventry days there. Not remembering a lot about his career and where he was. Cyril was spotted by West Bromwich Albion while playing for non-league Hayes, and Albion paid £5,000 for his services. Wow. Wow, has the money changed. Cyril moved to Coventry in October 1984 for £300,000 and has won 5 England caps, 621 caps, and was an FA Cup winner in 1987, so that was with Coventry. Well, they beat Tottenham Hotspur in that final, I do believe 3-2. David Speedy, that is triggering some sort of memories of knowing the name, But again, I think this is because I saw the name in my Merlin sticker book as well when I completed that. But I don't know the career of him very much. Kevin Gallagher, I do know. Didn't know he was at Coventry. I always think of Kevin Gallagher being at Blackburn in the later part of his career, and then Newcastle even later still. But yeah, Kevin Gallagher. Well, it was a blast from the past. Alan Harper. Not remembering that name at all, to be honest with you, or not even from appearance as well. Manchester City shirt there, proper retro style shirt, that one. And then we've got Ian Brightwell, that's a name that I have heard of. Do recall hearing before, but don't know a lot about it. Nice little action pose there of Ian Brightwell. Andy Sinton. Yes, Andy Sinton I do know. I think he either finished his career at Spurs or was damn it close to. He was at Middlesbrough as well. Was in Middlesbrough before Spurs, but very long career, Andy. I think he played for England a couple of times and not entirely sure on that one. But yeah, Andy Sinton, I do remember. Andy Sinton. I do remember the name Simon Barker as well, but can't recall a lot about his career either. That is also in a QPR shirt, so a couple of QPR players we've got there. Jan something. I'm not going to try and pronounce that because I'm totally going to butcher it. That is it. I can see the QPR logo on his goalkeeping jersey there. So yeah, don't know a lot about him. Don't even recall him from anything else. Andy Townsend, do know it's a very, very well-known footballing name up to this day because he does a lot of punditry now. Remember Andy Townsend being at Aston Villa as well. But yeah, there he is in a Chelsea shirt. So yeah, very early photo of that one, obviously. Steve Clarke, Chelsea for a very long time from what I remember. Steve Clarke, definitely heard of him. Definitely heard of Steve Clarke. As have I. Andy Hinchcliffe. But I remember him more from his Everton days. I believe he won the FA Cup with Everton in 1995. I believe he was in that team. Not entirely sure, but something about that is ringing true with my mind. Martin Keown, obviously well known for being in the Arsenal defence for many, many a year. But here we have him in an Everton shirt, looking very young with a full head of hair there. Norman Whiteside, the Whiteside name is very famous, isn't it, in football? But I'm struggling to remember Norman Whiteside, but rather large lad by the looks of it. Must have been a defender potentially. It's just what I'm guessing. Not entirely sure. John Ebrell, that's a name I've heard of. Yeah, sticker collecting days comes to mind as well, seeing his name there as well. I think he stayed at Everton for quite a few years as well. Gary Bennett. I don't know why that's ringing a bell a little bit, but I feel like I don't actually know him at the same time, if that makes any sense. What shirt is that? Is that Sunderland? Yes, it is Sunderland. Car 222. There we go. But yes, Gary Bennett. Barry Hall, I think he went to Everton, if I remember rightly. There's a name I have heard of. There's a Chelsea player there in the background, which he looked like he's about to grab the nuts of. Glenn Cockrell, not knowing that one, to be honest with you. That looks like a Southampton badge on the shirt. Oh, Draper, yeah, definitely is Southampton. So, yeah, don't know Glenn Cockrell at all. Gordon Armstrong, don't know Gordon Armstrong either. That's not Southampton, that is back to Sunderland again. Yeah, don't know Gordon Armstrong at all. So there's another one. But Vinnie Jones, we know a lot about. That looks like a Sheffield United shirt he's wearing there. Obviously, very famous for being in the Wimbledon team that was dubbed the Crazy Gang. Was also at Leeds as well, I believe. But yeah, the hard man of football. No nonsense, Vinnie Jones. Very actually skillful, more than people give him credit for as well, was Vinnie Jones. Tim Flowers. Yes, Tim Flowers, obviously at Southampton then. Probably more famous for being in goal for Blackburn when they won the Premier League. But yeah, everyone knows Tim Flowers, England international as well. John Pemberton, there's a name that rings a bell. I should know where he went as well. So I'm pretty sure he didn't just stay at Sheffield United. That is definitely a Sheffield United shirt as well. But yeah, John Pemberton's a name I know too. Paul Hardyman. Wow, there's a name I've definitely never heard of. Nice action shot of him there as well. Another Sunderland player. And we've got them mixed up a little bit here, the S's, or the Sunderland Southampton players. We're back to Southampton. Jason Dodd, he was at Southampton for years because I remember having, an early Merlin sticker album and seeing him in there. Michael Forsyth, that's a Derby shirt. Derby knowledge isn't that great, certainly from this age. Don't recall this player at all. Do not recall Michael Forsyth at all, to be honest with you. Michael Thomas for Arsenal there. Yes, I do know Michael Thomas. Yep, have heard of Michael Thomas. Again, struggling to remember the large part of his career, but yes, I have heard of Michael Thomas, as have I Kevin Campbell, who I remember spending a lot of time at Everton in the latter part of his careers, but obviously at Arsenal in the earlier parts. And yeah, Kevin Campbell was a decent player from what I can remember. As was Anders Limpar. Now, he went to Everton as well, so we've got a bit of a run of Arsenal players going to Everton here. I do believe Anders Limpar was at Everton. Another very skillful player. Perry Groves I have heard of, but I only remember him being at Arsenal. I'm pretty sure he was elsewhere as well, but I have heard of the name Perry Groves. Of course, you've heard of Lee Dixon, haven't you? England right back, I want to say. England right back, or was it left back? But definitely full back. But yeah, Lee Dixon at Arsenal for years, part of that infamous back four that was well drilled by George Graham. Ian Olney, have heard of this guy. Don't know an awful lot about him. Don't know, something says to me, was he a winger? Quite a fast player from what I remember. Struggling to remember that one, but I have heard of Ian Olney. Have heard of Gordon Cowans as well. And no, he wasn't just that is Aston Villa, isn't it, as well, I believe. Yes, I've heard of Gordon Cowans, but struggling to remember where else he may have been. But anything about it on the back there? Says excellent spell at Villa. He rejoined them from Bari, so he went to Italy. So yeah, I don't remember being in Italy. There you go. Learn something new every day. Tony Cascarino. I've heard of Tony Cascarino. Was at Chelsea as well. Yes, do remember Tony Cascarino. Not so much remembering Stuart Gray at all. Not ringing a bell from appearance or name. Steve Bruce. Yeah, Manchester United. Manchester United legend, isn't he? Centre back. Scored that header, was the only player not to score that season. Scored a header in one of the last games of the season that made Fergie jump on the pitch, I believe. But yeah, Steve Bruce, well known, obviously still managing to this day as well. Mike Phelan, wasn't he at Man City as well? Did he play for both? I don't remember him being at Manchester United. I think he was at Manchester City. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong on that, I'm thinking of another Phelan, perhaps. Certainly, there was a Phelan at Man City. Signed from Norwich by Alex Ferguson. There we go. So it was definitely Norwich. Yeah, I'm going to need to look that up. There's a very young-looking Gary Pallister. Another Manchester United legend. I believe he finished at Middlesbrough in his career. But was at Manchester United for years. Obviously won many a title with Manchester United. And Paul Ince did as well. And obviously Paul Ince was at Borough as well. Might have finished his career there as well. But yeah, Paul Ince, England international, very well-known player. Peter Reid looking very old and with a full head of hair as well, playing for Man City. This must have been right towards the end of his career. Must have been. I don't remember him playing for Man City. That's the ironic thing about this card. There we go. Niall Quinn certainly do. He was at City for years, bit of a Manchester City legend from what I understand. Very tall, very good in the air, very to do with Sunderland as well. I believe he was not chairman there now. He certainly was for a small period of time. But yeah, Niall Quinn there. Tony Coton in goal for Man City for years. Look at that tash as well and the hair there. Those gloves and that shirt. This is proper retro in a football card, this. Tony Coton indeed. Yes, know him very well. Never heard of Adrian Heath. Going to be totally honest with you there. Not even by appearance are you triggering any memories. Mark Ward. Do you know, I remember this card because of his pose. Everyone had this card. But Mark Ward, I don't remember certainly by name. Can't offer anything about it. Cyril Regis, we've already spoke about him once. Got a double in here. I thought I separated my doubles. Sort it out, Rob. Sort it out. Cool, there's a name I don't... That must be an Everton away shirt by the looks of it. I don't know you at all, mate. Do not know you at all. But there we go. Born in Amsterdam. Foreign player. There weren't many of those around back in those days. Certainly compared to now. Big Nev. Welsh international. Everton legend. Even I know that. Big Nev. Look at that photo on the back as well. Born September 1958. Still regarded by many experts as the best goalkeeper in the first division. Obviously, there was no Premiership when these were made. Neville has been the regular Welsh international for the last 8 years. Worked as a dustman and building site at Hod Carrier while he developed his skills with the non-league Winsford United, a world-class goalkeeper. Interesting background and build up to Big Nev's career there. Now I've read it, that Bin Man story is coming to light or being triggered in my head again. Neil MacDonald, again, another name. I don't remember. Don't remember by appearance either. Steve Chettle, I do. Yeah, he was at Forest for years, way into the 90s from what I believe. Very young and youthful in that photo. But yeah, but it's not in a Forest for years, Steve Chettle. Same goes for Mark Crosley, wasn't he? He's not in a Forest goalie for many years as well. Very good goalie as well. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. Brian Laws is a name that, the name that does nothing for me, I'm afraid, with memory-wise, certainly from appearance either. Look at the hair on that. A bit of a bouffant going on there. Dean Emerson. Coventry again here. Yeah, not remembering you at all. I'm sorry, not remembering Dean Emerson at all, not even by appearance. Kingsley Black. Remember him from Nottingham Forest, but that's clearly not Nottingham Forest. Struggling to remember the badge. There we go, Luton Town. So yeah, I remember him being at Nottingham Forest. I'm pretty sure he was at Nottingham Forest. Decent player back in the day. Dave Beaumont, this name is ringing a little bit of a bell, but for some reason not triggering off any memories of the player. Struggling to remember him, but yeah, I have heard the name Dave Beaumont. I do remember that name. Name I haven't heard. Can't remember. David Priest. Don't know you at all. I'm really sorry. No memories triggered by looking at you. Dion Dublin. Look at that. Remember Dion Dublin largely through playing for Coventry for many a years. Manchester United as well. Very early days at Manchester United. And Aston Villa too. But here he is in a Cambridge United shirt. Wow, looking very young as well. I say looking very young as I drop the card. He hasn't aged horrifically, has he at all? He's always looked like that. Wow. Well done, Dion. There we go. But wow, Cambridge United. I remember him being at Cambridge United. Neil Smiley? No, nothing remembered about this one. Brentford. I'm guessing that we've got a change in banner colour here. We're moving away from First Division, so I'm going to struggle with a lot of these, and the same goes for Lee Sinnott. That is Bradford, so we don't need to look at the back of that one. That's from Bradford. Don't know him at all. Steve Osborne. Again, when we're changing banner colour again here, we've gone to green. Not sure who he is. Peterborough United. That card is. David Kerslake. Now I do know this name. Swindon. He was at. That looks like it could be a Swindon shirt. Later was at Spurs. Apart from that, I can't remember who else he played for. Yeah, this is indeed a Swindon card. So yes, do know David Kerslake. Don't know Steve Lavelle. Don't know Steve Lavelle at all. Struggling to recognise that shirt at all. Gillingham. Yeah, would never have got that. Andy, again, more names I'm not knowing. Andy Garner. Look at the colour. That's got to be an away shirt, surely. Blackpool. No. They wear orange. They are the Tangerines, aren't they? They wear orange, so that's not an away shirt at all. But don't know Andy Gardner. Don't know. Well, it does look a little bit. I was going to say looks a little bit like David Hessenthaler, but obviously isn't. Jerry McHeleny. Have I pronounced that right? Peterborough United again. Never heard of you. Sorry, don't remember you. Trevor wow. Birmingham City is what comes to mind when I see Trevor Francis' name, but it looks like this was in the latter part of his career, looking a little bit aged in comparison. Car's in a bit of bad condition there. Rob, didn't look after Trevor Francis very well, did you? Trevor Francis, yes, Sheffield. I've obviously heard of Trevor Francis, Sheffield Wednesday, yeah. Definitely heard of Trevor Francis, as have I John Sheridan as well. And that is for the shirt that he's wearing, Sheffield Wednesday. Remember him being in the old Merlin sticker books as well. Gary Lund, I have not heard of. That looks like a black and white shirt. Is it Notts County? Yes, it is Notts County. Famous black and white shirts, which they gave to Juventus to borrow, which is why they wear black and whites. I know that fact. But no, Gary Lund is not triggering off any memories or any previous knowledge. Same applies for Alan McLaughlin. Not even recognising that shirt. Struggling to recognise that badge. Swindon Town as well. I remember Swindon Town badge looking like that. Bad condition, that card. We're back to First Division, and David Platt at Aston Villa, obviously England international, part of the Euro 96 squad, which did so well and came so close. Still hurts to this day. I don't know if he finished his career at Arsenal, but certainly there in the latter parts of his career. That's got to be a low number card. England legend coming up. David Platt is an England legend, but this guy here, proper, the original safe hands, if you ask me. I know David Seaman had that title, but to me, finished his career at Leyton Orient, I believe, of all places, and played over 1,000 games. And this is when he was at Derby County. But Peter Shilton, an absolute ledge. Really pleased I've got that card. Neil Webb is a name I've heard of from Manchester United. Yes, don't know an entire lot about his career, but definitely heard of Neil Webb. Ian Olney, getting doubles. Yeah, I've heard of you, Ian Olney. We've been there before. Mark Chamberlain. Mark Chamberlain in what is appearing to be a Portsmouth shirt. Another name that I don't know or remember anything about was a winger. It says so on the card. There we go. Ian Holloway. Ian Holloway, who I remember from QPR. That's not QPR. That is indeed Bristol Rovers. And with a full head of hair, another manager that gave great interviews with the press when they asked silly questions. Absolutely used to love listening to his interviews. Wow. Not heard of Romeo Zondervan. Got to be honest with you, that's definitely an Ipswich Town shirt. That has got to be the most obscure player so far. Just, obviously, was he... Yeah, Holland. I was going to say, was he bought from abroad potentially? But he played for Holland. He might have been born in this country. I don't know. Suriname, I doubt it. 1959. Yeah, never heard of this fella at all. Same goes for Gary Bannister. Sorry, Gary, don't know ya. What shirt is that one? West Bromwich Albion. Oh, looks a little bit too dark to be West Brom, but there we go. Yeah, never heard of Gary Bannister. Andy Much I've heard of. I've heard that name before, Andy Much. That looks like a Wolves shirt. That is a Wolves shirt. I can see the Goodyear logo on. Definitely is a Wolverhampton Wanderers shirt. There we go. Was a striker. Do know the name Andy Much. Definitely know Brian Robson. Another England legend. England international. Great player, Brian Robson, back in the day. Absolutely great player. There we go. Manchester United. Born in 1957. Yes. Who we got now? Tony Catton with a Norwich player in the background. Not knowing Tony Catton at all by name or appearance. Looks like, is that I want to say Charlton badge? It is a Charlton badge. Charlton Athletic, yeah. Born in Liverpool. Ended up in London. Yeah, not sure of who you are. And same goes for Ian Baird as well, I'm afraid. Not aware of you, Ian Baird. That is a proper retro shirt, isn't it? A Middlesbrough shirt as well. Recognise the logo straight away there. Andy Ritchie is a name that rings some bells, believe it or not. That is an Oldham shirt. Oldham were in the Premier League. So I think he might have played for Oldham in the Premiership. I'm not entirely sure. Steve Walsh. That is a Leicester. I was going to say, I remember him playing for Leicester for a very long time. That is a Leicester shirt. It's an away Leicester shirt. Obviously, their home shirt is blue. But yeah, Steve Walsh, look at that. Oh, we're into obviously later releases. These were a later series. So now it's basically guessed. I have no idea who that is. David Kelly, Leicester City. I hear the Kelly name and I think of a Leeds player with a surname, Gary Kelly. Yeah, but no, don't know who that is. That looks like a West Brom shirt. Not sure who it is though. Is it a West Brom shirt? I'm struggling to look at the badge as well. No, it's Grimsby Town. Paul Futcher. Yep, definitely don't know who you are. This is going to have to be all be turned around. Who there? Yeah, who the hell are you? Brett Angel. I do know that name. Brett Angel ended up at Everton. I'm sure of it. But this is from Southend. There we go. No, don't know. Mark Proctor of Middlesbrough. Yeah, I've never heard of Mark Proctor either. We've got a Crystal Palace player here by the looks of it. Not sure. No, don't know who you are. Paul Bodin. I have heard that name, but I didn't know that appearance. At all. I have heard of that name. Was he not a Man City at some point? Am I thinking of someone else? Probably am. Who we got here? A great action pose, I'll be honest with you. I don't know. David Martin of Southend United. Yeah, don't know David Martin at all. And don't know who that is. Christ. Bernie Slaven, definitely never heard of Middlesbrough. Born in 1960. Here we go. Who we got this time? Who are you? David Kerslake. I know David Kerslake. Why does he look a lot different from the other card? Maybe it's just the angle. Maybe it's a couple of years later. Who knows? The other ones don't have dates. Oh, these do have dates on. These are 1991. I know the other ones don't have dates on because I remember looking at the Paul Gascoigne card before doing the video and trying to find a date, but believing they were from 1990. But there we go, David Kerslake. Just goes to show without the name alongside it. I didn't even recognise him. In fact, I've seen him before and know who he is. Get my words out. There we go. Transfer to Luton Town FC, 12/9/91. So this card was probably made in the Derby County shirt, and then he moved to Luton Town, so they just printed it on the front. Mick Harford. I know Mick Hartford looks very young in that photo. Very young in that photo. Wow. Oh, Wolves. I know that name. I know that name. It is indeed the legendary Steve Ball. We've got the Steve Ball card. Obviously, a Wolves legend, was there forever, I think. Was there forever. But yes, England player as well. Yeah. And the very last card. Can we get a bit of recognition on the go here? I'm trying. Don't know. Look at the strain on all their players' faces. They've got a badge there. That looks like a Cambridge United badge. Who's that? That's Dion Dublin again. Why does that not look like Dion Dublin? I don't know why that does not look like Dion Dublin. Cambridge United again. So obviously these cards before these cards, so he was at Cambridge for a couple of seasons at least. Dion was top scorer at the Abbey Stadium last season with 16 league goals. He was originally on the books of Norwich City. Oh Christ, that rings a bell. Now I'm reading it, but was signed by Cambridge without making a league appearance. So he never appeared for Norwich. Why have I heard that story though? He made his league debut for United in 1988, and the rest is history, because obviously he went on to have a very successful career, like I said. Was at Man United, was at Coventry, and was at Aston Villa. I believe played for England as well. But how much does that not look like Dion Dublin in that photo? But there we go, it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is looking through a stack of these cards, these Pro Set cards. Wow, what memories collecting these kids. I remember they used to come in plastic, but they were very tearable plastic. They weren't sort of foil, if you get what I mean. They're sort of a soft plastic you teared. But these were absolutely a lot of fun to go through. I'm so glad that I still have these, and these will never leave my possession. It's just a massive memory of my youth. So if anyone has some of these Pro Set cards, I'd be interested to hear from you in the comments. I'd love to see more videos on these. I'm pretty sure somebody else somewhere has done videos on these. I'm about to go search for them now. So this was just something a little bit different, something to have a look through from my youth, from my childhood, and I've really enjoyed doing this. I do have a soft spot for trading cards. It's why I do my random pack series. So when I refound these, I decided to go through them. I also found some SmackDown cards and a full set of 100 Pro Set Thunderbird cards as well. So I might do a flick through of those as well. But for now, this has been a lot of fun going through these Pro Set cards. These football Pro Set cards. I'll be interested to hear your memories, not just necessarily of the cards, perhaps of some of the players that I maybe have highlighted, or if you know some of the players that I don't and that I've not heard of and there's a bit of mention, you can go into that as well. That'd be great to hear from you too. But ladies and gentlemen, I think this just leaves me to wrap this video up now. Say thank you very much indeed for watching, and as always, take care.